We'll miss you, Grandpa, is the headline on the front page of the Daily Mirror as it reports on the poignant tributes of the Duke of Cambridge and the Duke of Sussex after their grandfather's death.
Prince William's words also lead the Daily Telegraph, pledging to get on with the job in line with what he says are his grandfather's wishes. Now, we're going to talk about those lovely messages and more about Prince Philip in a moment. But joining us now is a friend of Harry and Meghan's, Omid Scobie, who is also the co-author of their biography, Finding Freedom. They were very different messages, weren't they? In line, I'm sure, with their personalities and also perhaps their roles within the royal family. But I think in their own way, both heartfelt. Could you see that difference there? And was there messaging somewhere in there too?
Yeah, morning, Kate. Morning, Adil. Yeah, I think this was really showing the different personalities of William and Harry. Of course, William is the future king. It came from a much more formal place. Harry, I think, in his sort of new role now as a non-working royal, had the freedom to perhaps be a little bit more informal with his words. But I think what both together gave is a really sort of balanced overview of their relationship with their grandfather, which was not only one filled with respect and, of course, inspiration. Harry, of course, had that connection with Philip as both serving military men, and with William also looking up to the Duke as well, as a future head of state. I think this really showed the two brothers and how they've both been inspired by Philip over the years, but also how normal a family they are behind the scenes. This is sort of granddad looking after the kids. For William, we had that lovely picture that William shared, but at the same time, we also heard Harry talking about the barbecues, the banter. It was a really nice insight into the royal family life.
King of the barbecue. It's lovely to think about that, isn't it? Others, though, have also wondered if there was some messaging that when Prince William talks about getting on with the job, highlights the life of service, all of that there might be a bit of a dig, potentially, at his brother for seeming to have taken a step back.
I think for us on the outside, it might look like that. But we have to remember that is William's role. He is the future head of state. And so he really is thinking about getting back to work. I don't think it was anything aimed at his brother. In fact, I think across the board in the royal family right now, everyone is really putting differences aside to focus on the one thing that matters. And that's really remembering Prince Philip's life and legacy, but also rallying around the Queen during her time of need. So I think if there's anything that's sort of beautiful about this week and the days leading up to the funeral, is actually seeing a family unified in a way that we haven't seen in so many years.
It could be a really interesting turning point, this, and it could be, even in his passing, the Duke of Edinburgh may be a force for good on his family yet again, and he has been many times in his lifetime, because there is a chance now we could see a reconciliation. William and Harry are going to be right next to each other. They're probably going to walk next to each other, probably maybe even sat next to each other. So there's inevitably there will be lots of moments to talk. And for all of us, actually, and I can speak personally on this, when you've had differences in your family, quite often it is a funeral or a wedding that can bring those families back together again. Do you think we're really going to see this now?
It's always the weddings and the funerals that brings everyone together. And I think whilst everyone's focus is really on remembering Philip's life and, of course, supporting the Queen in this very difficult moment, I think just simply being in the same room as each other, being in each other's presence, is enough to count as those first steps forward in perhaps some progress further down the line. I think as the days continue, the focus will remain very much on the Queen and Philip's life. But I think this will certainly, at the very least, perhaps open the door to conversations later on. And I think, for us that have seen such a turbulent story develop over the past year or even more, that's certainly what we want to hear and what we'd love to see, in the months ahead.
Now, we do know that Meghan will not be coming. What more can you tell us about that? We know, of course, her doctor has advised her not to come because she's heavily pregnant at the moment. Do you know any more about that?
Sure. I mean, we're really just going by what the press team say. I think there's always this belief that I have a direct line to the couple. I'm not a friend of theirs, but I'm a member of the press with a close working relationship with their media team. And so, of course, the guidance that came from that really was that despite wanting to be here to not only be with her family, but also to be with Harry to support him during a very difficult time. Unfortunately, due to sort of a lack of medical clearance, we have to remember she's heavily pregnant, Meghan was unable to come here. But I think we saw that sort of those wishes reflected from not only Harry, but Meghan and the rest of the family in that statement from yesterday. He was very clear in sort of pointing out that it was on behalf of all of them. And I think that that's really going to be the mood moving forward with Harry at the funeral on Saturday too.
Okay.
Well, sorry.
Sorry, no, go on.
No, I was only going to say that thank you very much. You may not have a relationship with them, but because you're the co-author of biography, we know that you have connections and that you're happy to speak, if not on their behalf, give us a different picture of the story.